You better be listening to Sleazoids or I must break you.
Let him in, Bravo.
He's the nation's top counter-terrorist.
The other one, you're good to go.
But on his final mission...
Negative. It's not him.
He missed the target.
We pride ourselves in hunting only combat veterans, men who have the necessary skills to make our hunts more interesting.
The opposition is about to get one last chance.
What kind of a name is Chance?
My mama took one.
Their styles are different, very different.
Offense gets the glory.
But defense wins the game. A world-class arms dealer. Did you open that?
Yeah.
With a flair for destruction.
I don't know, man. I look at you, I see nothing but trouble.
What the hell?
I kind of like trouble.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Sleazoids, the podcast where we go down the rabbit hole of 20th century genre fare, from the most influential canon classics to the trashiest exploitation films we can get our hands on, and invite you to tag along in helping us create a canon of sleaze. Each week is a double feature grindhouse style where we discuss two films loosely related by subject, genre, actor, filmmaker, or franchise, and at the end of each episode, along with our honorary Sleazoids, which you can become by subscribing on Patreon.
We're talking vampires, addiction, and a 200-year-old David Bowie. Join the sleaze.
We decide on all the official ratings and rankings for every film that we cover. Patreon subscribers also get an on-air shout-out and 2 bonus episodes every single month, which we have been doing for over 3 years. There's something like 90-plus bonus episodes waiting for you. So if you haven't made the jump yet, definitely recommend looking into that. And speaking of which, we did have a lot of people make the jump this week, so we'll give them their shout-outs here. We've got Adam Isaacson, Drew Mascarelli, KP, Ethan Johnson, CWW, who actually upped his pledge to the annual yearly pledge.
Oh, nice.
So thank you. We have Alexandra Slaggle, we have Wes Keown, we have Joseph, Lawrence Taylor, Evan Rowe, Josh Greck, Joe, and Antonio Gray. Thanks so much to all of you folks for signing up, and hope you're enjoying all of those bonus episodes. That's the one plug for the week. The other plug, as always, Apple Podcasts. If you guys are listening on Apple Podcasts, and I see the stats, I know that you are. Scroll down to the very bottom right now. Give us a good old rating and review down there. Helps us climb the ranks over at iTunes and find new listeners. And then the last plug is merch. If you guys like the poster art that local horror artist based out of Toronto, Trevor Henderson, did for the podcast, you can get that basically put on anything you want. You can get a poster, you can get a pillow, a notebook, a hoodie, whatever you can think of, you can probably find it. That link is in the description, as well as over at sleazoidspodcast.com. All right. That's it. Welcome back.
Welcome.
You guys know the drill. Welcome. As always, I am your host, Josh Lewis. Joining me also, as always, is my co-host,
Jamie Miller. Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome. I think 2 weeks ago would have been the last time you guys, free listeners, would have heard from us, and we would have done a really filthy double feature with friend of the pod, Kai Perignon, out of Melbourne.
Oh, yeah.
He brought with him 2 very angry queer artists raging against the family unit and indulging in all kinds of filth and abuse in a movie called Seeds from 1968, which is directed by Andy Milligan. Which has more abortions and incest than basically any film I've ever seen.
Yep.
So take notes. And then Blonde Death from 1984, which was kind of like a combination of John Waters and like Terrence Malick's Badlands, I guess.
Yep, definitely.
So if you were ever wondering what Terrence Malick's Badlands would have been, but would have been for like a really, really filthy Orange County shot on video, mass murders at Disneyland kind of style couple, that's what you'll find in Blonde Death. We had a lot of fun talking with Kai about those. And then last week, for bonus listeners, we did a very special episode on the new, well, not actually on the new, but there is a new M. Night Shyamalan film that is out. And by now, Jamie and I have probably both seen it. And as of the time that you guys are listening to this, we'll probably have a bonus transmission coming out tomorrow where we will be deep diving into our thoughts on that. But we went back all the way to the old M. Night. And we talked The Sixth Sense, 1999, and Unbreakable from 2000. I don't think anyone needs a pitch or any kind of breakdown on what that episode was like. But we had a lot. It was a big boy. We had a lot of fun breaking down sort of the very natural talent of the visual stylist known as M. Night Shyamalan, who is not, I think, as out of touch as many of his dissenters would have you believe. No. And especially in those early films, there is a lot of craft on display, and we definitely had a fun time breaking that down. So that was patreon.com/Sleazoids podcast for last week's episode. But this week, and we're very excited too, just to be doing episodes again that are, in tandem with new releases, something we literally haven't been able to do for like over a year. So the movies are back. Nature is healing. We talked about an M. Night to coincide with the M. Night movie. And this week, speaking of screen auteurs, this week, we wanted to talk Jean-Claude Van Damme. He's only ever come up in episodes on other filmmakers. We've talked about Universal Soldier. He appeared on when we were doing Dolph Month. Yep. And he also came up when we did Albert Pyun. And we talked about his film Cyborg that he made with him literally using all of the leftover parts of a failed Masters of the Universe movie that Canon was trying to make, I believe.
Yep, you got a Jean-Claude Van Damme resurrection sequence, basically, where he's on like a crucifix and everything. It's great.
His thighs are glistening while he's screaming like Jesus.
That's right.
So we've only ever talked about Jean-Claude Van Damme kind of incidentally, but this week we really wanted to break down the man himself, the muscles from Brussels, they call him. So we have a very special episode planned today because I believe he's got at the time that you guys are listening to this, there is a new Netflix film with him out that we haven't watched yet, but we figured that we would go back and we would talk about two of our favorites and also two of our favorites that also both happen to be the American debuts of two very special Chinese filmmakers. And to do that, we have special returning guest from the pod daddy of Chapo Trap House himself, Will Menaker. Will, how you doing?
Hey boys, how's it going? I just want to let you know, my mama, she named me Will because she filled one out after she had me. It's a joy to be here talking JCVD, Jean-Claude Van Damme. I think probably his two best movies, or at least my two favorite of his movies, and then as you pointed out, also very special because it's a double feature about the American film debuts of two absolute Hong Kong auteurs and masters of action cinema.
Hell yeah. So the double feature we're going to be talking about today is Hard Target from 1993, directed by a little-known filmmaker known as John Woo. Many of you, I'm sure, will know. We've covered John Woo quite a few times, but I do think that this is our first time talking about an American John Woo film. Other than, I guess we did Mission Impossible 2 very, very early on.
But Blackjack as well.
Yes, Blackjack with Dolph.
I guess we have covered a couple. I just, for some reason, also forgot.
Yes, we just also haven't done the really big ones. We haven't done like Face Off or Broken Arrow or Paycheck might even be a little bit too late in the game to cover. But we definitely, our big John Woo episode was The Killer and Hard Boiled. His two Hong Kong masterpieces. And so very excited to see him working with an American star in his first American movie. And it's so funny how American he decided to go with it. Like how culturally American he decided to make it too. Very interesting. And we're going to be pairing that with a Double Team from 1997, which I knew we had to have Will on to talk about because he loves this film more than anyone I've ever known.
Hell yeah.
Welcome to the team Double Team. What more can one say about Double Team? I mean, it's got it all. It's got Mickey Rourke fighting a tiger. It's got an island for retired spies. It's got techno monks. It's got NBA All-Star Dennis Rodman.
Yes, which I knew you would be very excited
and
to talk about.
And some of the best drip ever. You've
been tweeting about basketball for a very, very long time. So I was like, he chose this because it's got a basketball guy in it. And also, correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't been following basketball for particularly long, but this was when Dennis Rodman was winning his back-to-back championships, no? When he filmed this?
1997. God. I mean, I think he was still on the Bulls then. But yeah, this is probably like it was at the stage in his career when he could just ask for like 3 months off during the regular season to go party in Vegas with Carmen Electra, to shoot a movie with Sweetheart and Jean-Claude Van Damme. Yeah, it's
Rockstar show.
and then also the other thing I love about Double Team is that we can get into it, but like, it's filled with basketball-related puns.
So many.
Yeah.
Every other line out of his mouth, and we'll get into it when we talk about Double Team, but like, he's not playing himself, and the character never brings up basketball. Like, there's not a basketball scene in the movie anywhere. He just keeps making basketball puns. Even though the character clearly just doesn't, I don't know. It was a very interesting experience watching this, because I watched this a long time ago as a kid, when I definitely just picked movies based on who had cool hair and cool guns on the poster.
Hell yeah.
Dennis Rodman's fits were definitely a huge inspiration for checking out this one. And yeah,
Supreme drip.
If you're picking movies based on who has the coolest hair and who has the coolest guns, I mean, Double Team would be at the top of your list, because you got Dennis Rodman has different hair in every scene of the movie. He's got a different dye job, and because it's got that like, it's just like that Hong Kong flavor, is that like every gun in the movie has to be like tricked out. It can't just be like some boring ass like regular handgun. It's got to be like, have the fucking sights on it. It's got to have the extendo clip. It's got to be fully auto. Like, it's just, every little detail is a joy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will definitely get into that when we start talking Double Team. But yeah, so we're going to be talking about Hard Target and Double Team this week. And speaking of which, I think we are going to jump right into it here. We are going to start off with Hard Target.
Ladies first.
What?
These men will chase after you. You mad at you for business or pleasure?
Both. Look at it this way. You're gonna get to meet Elvis. Give it a rest, pal.
Jean-Claude Van Damme is the Hard Target.
You miss me?
From internationally acclaimed action director John Woo.
How's it feel to be hunted? You tell me.
Hard Target.
All right, we are talking Hard Target, the 1993 American action film directed by Hong Kong film director John Woo in what was his American film debut. From what I understand, he wanted to go over to America after shooting Hard Boiled because they were working crazy hours to get films like that across. And you can see it in the films. But John Woo was definitely getting tired of some of the industry standards, and he looked at Hollywood and he said, you know, I could probably clock in and clock out over there a little bit more. And he came over, and he was offered by Universal a bunch of different scripts that he was able to read through, and he opted for this one. And also, I think at this point too, he turned down Face Off. At this point too, he was already offered Face Off, but he wasn't convinced about the sci-fi elements of it, I guess, yet, and he wanted to kind of stick with something a little bit more simple at the time.
God,
but obviously,
he saw the light.
He saw the light on that one, yes. But it's worth noting, too, that when he came over to make this film, Universal was also actually not super confident, because obviously John Woo was coming from Hong Kong and he didn't know English, and they figured that would be a big problem on set. So it's actually reported that Sam Raimi apparently was on set for the majority of this film, just to make sure that he was being communicated with properly and with the translators and everything like that, and that if something went wrong with Woo, he was meant to step in and replace him, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. I don't know if you guys clocked this, but like, I mean, obviously, Sam Raimi had to have been on set for this movie because it features a cameo by his brother Ted.
Yes, I did notice that.
Sam Raimi's movie. He's the guy on the street who's like, I don't have any change, buddy. When like the guy who's getting hunted like hassles him. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
And I also read that the studio was concerned because they were like, yeah, this guy doesn't speak English. He's never made a movie in America. And Sam Raimi was like, look, John Woo at 70% is going to do an action movie better than like any American director working at like 110%. So he's like, I'm vouching for him. Like this is going to be real.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, yeah, Raimi was 100% correct, because if there's anything that I'll say about this movie, it's that this movie has a pretty typical American studio action film kind of screenplay, the kind of screenplay that for example, previously was appealing to someone like Andrew Davis, who apparently was someone who was first attached to this and eventually kind of passed over it. But, you know, the guy who made The Fugitive, the guy who made like 3 or 4 Seagal vehicles, including like, I think he did Above the Law and Under Siege and everything like that. There's another universe where this is a Seagal movie, right?
Yeah.
Where you can see Seagal as like the Cajun homeless man. And also this actually did suffer from an interesting kind of history that is similar to a lot of Seagal films, where it actually was eventually cut by a producer and Van Damme. Because there is apparently a version of this movie that is like, I guess like 2+ hours or something like that, or I guess a 2-hour version, which was the one that Wu preferred. And the studio asked, you know, the producers asked to have a version cut down, and Van Damme basically got to sit in the editing room with the producers, and he basically made it the Van Damme show a little bit. Now, a little bit less so than Seagal did. Apparently, a lot of stuff that was cut was Lance Henriksen. There was a lot more with him in it, apparently, that it was basically almost considered like a co-lead between him and Van Damme.
Here's the thing. I could see like, you know, if these action stars seem to always have these egos, and the scenes with Henriksen are unbelievably cool. So I could see him like just in there like,
he looks
too damn good, man. Yeah.
We talked about it on our Seagal episode where we did Out for Justice, and the whole, you know, the reason what hindered that movie actually was that Seagal basically cut out so much of Bill Forsyth because he was actually showing him up as an actor.
Right.
And, you know, Bill Forsyth is so great in that film, and Seagal literally chopped out like a half hour of his story and everything like that to make it the Seagal movie. And so Van Damme kind of did something a little bit similar here, but at the very least, Van Damme did get more along with John Woo, and I think John Woo at one point said that he has a pretty big ego, but Van Damme was very professional. He always tried to do a good job, and it's a perfect merging, I think, of filmmaker and actor too, because, you know, we've talked about Woo quite a bit. Woo has this very heightened style to him. Obviously, it's been called Gun Fu, but there's this idea, you know, this very visual, balletic kind of, you know, the gun is another tool for the martial arts. I was watching an interview recently with Scott Adkins, the direct-to-video actor, and he recently described it perfectly, I thought, was that, you know, in a sequence in Hard Target where like they're dual wielding and they're shooting each other, it's so close quarters and such a destructive force. It's basically just used as like an extension of their arms, like a fist making a punch. Yeah. That's how it's sort of visually used in the film.
The signature move in this movie by Chance Boudreaux is to like dump 15 bullets into some guy's chest at close, like at point blank range, yes, and then do a spinning roundhouse kick to their head to finish them off. Yeah. Like as if just dumping a clip into someone's gut wasn't enough. He's got to like fucking just like snap their head back with his fucking foot like right after. It's so generous, you know, like with Wu's style, which is like to slow things down or show you like the same thing from like 3 different angles. But like when Van Damme, like when he does his signature kicks and he just like kicks dudes in the head in this movie, like it's so satisfying. Like you just see their head just snap back and like every bead of sweat just fly off of it and like just blood shoot out of their mouth. Like it's just the sound of it. Oh, it's great. And it's so hard body, this movie.
I love every impact has like a zoom in on the action and then a slow-mo effect that happens. It's every single time he hits anybody. So it's like they're approaching, they're kind of getting up for the punch or the kick, and then as soon as he makes contact, they zoom in, do a big slow-mo, and then the fight continues. And I love one of the major parts that I really liked was when it's the first fight on the street where he's saving the girl. And he throws a dude into the window, and that initially is really quick, like the toss, but then it cuts into the actual restaurant or whatever he's throwing him into, and then you get the nice slow-mo shot of the guy just going right through the window, glass breaking. He's so good at elevating simple fighting scenes.
Yeah, that's the thing that really works about this for me, is that like the story itself is very light, and even kind of, you know, in comparison to some of his Hong Kong stuff, like, you know, he was coming off like Bullet in the Head, for example.
Right.
You know, like that movie. That movie has so much to say, obviously, about the politics of that situation and the friendship and the violence and the codes of honor. So this is this is kind of a bit emptier of an action exercise in comparison. There's still obviously some really awesome, sort of detail to this that we'll get into the specifics of, but like this is definitely a lighter kind of movie in terms of the characterization than I think Woo is typically used for, but the style is nothing but pure refined Woo. He just goes crazy for it, and merging it with Van Damme, who is an actual athletic performer who can match that heightened quality that he has as a filmmaker. From what I read, a lot of the shooting of this movie was Woo getting there, deciding he wanted to do something crazy, and then Van Damme being like, yeah, okay, I'll try it. And then they tried it, and they kept upping the ante basically on every take, being like, and Woo basically was like, loved Van Damme simply because the dude was always game for everything that he asked, and he could do it.
Yeah.
So this is it. Like what I like about both these movies, and particularly being like Van Damme being the star for these two like Chinese auteurs making their American debut, and this kind of this very fruitful like East meets West collaborations that took place a lot in the 90s, is that like Van Damme is like already weird, he doesn't fit into like America or what we would think of as like action movie stars. He has that very common thing in like sort of 80s and 90s like action movie stars. But what I like about the direction is that this sort of the visual grammar of these movies are like also kind of feels like English in translation, and like you know what I mean? Like it doesn't. It feels different than American directors, and like it just they're like Woo and Hark are just so. Like I said, they're just so fucking generous with like everything they give you. They just throw everything they just throw everything out there. And in Hard Target, man, like you got all the signature Woo touches like played to the hilt. You got guys fucking shit up on dirt bikes. You've got the slow-mo. You've got the doves, obviously. Oh yeah. And lest we not forget the lesser known Woo touch that I don't think people hit on as much, but the homoeroticism. There's plenty of homoeroticism in Hard Target.
Well, Van Damme was always someone who played to the camera. We talked about this in Universal Soldier, because directed by Roland Emmerich. I mean, there's entire shots of that of just his ass and his thighs, and just always as wet as possible. There's stories of him like on set, like I think even on Double Team that there was talk that he would kept telling Troy Hark to essentially like getting closer to his bicep during the workout scenes and stuff like that. He was like, yeah, get that. Yeah, get it. You're like, so Van
Damme is so wet in this movie. Like his hair is so mullet, wet in every scene. They're just like, he's got this mullet, and it's like rippled like ramen noodles when you take him out of the package, and it's just he's got this mullet. It's just so wet and sweaty. It's all in New Orleans. It's just
I mean, even his like introduction, the way that he shoots him when he's just sitting at the bar, you get this shot from behind him, so you see the wet gelled mullet and everything, and you kind of the camera goes up and pans up, and then
you get these Western twang strings.
Yeah, right, exactly. You got the exactly, and then he even does close-ups of his face, like his jawline and everything. Like they establish just how cool and good looking this guy is supposed to be.
He's got the trench coat. He's got the one hooped earring.
Yes, of course. Even when he like walks away from saving that girl and she just stares in amazement like he's some type of god or something. He just has that slow-mo walk down the street in his trench coat and everything. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
I mean, the thing I was struck by watching Hard Target this time, it was like you mentioned, like, I mean, it doesn't have like quite as many of like the deeper themes as like John Woo's Hong Kong movies, and like he didn't write the screenplay. He's just picking up kind of like a work for hire job that he made his own. But like nonetheless, like I was struck this time is like. I don't know, like I was sort of impressed by like the political message in this movie, and it's like its real focus on kind of the plight of America's urban poor, which in this movie are of course sort of left to be hunted for sport by rich psychos and
literally most dangerous game style.
And there are full-on gun battles in like the middle of the streets in New Orleans where like people are firing rockets at each other and like nobody notices or cares. There's like a police strike going on, and it's all taking place in this sort of context of like social services being cut and privatized. And then in this movie, like Lance Hendrickson's character and like his whole crew, like he says explicitly, like what they're offering is just a privatization of murder. He's like,
Yes.
we're just allowing the private sector to do what, like, you know, Air Force pilots or cops or fucking, like, you know, military guys do for the government legally. We're just offering that opportunity to the
private citizens.
sector.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really dark when you think about it. And I read too that Wu, he liked that element, but he also especially just loved like the very sort of propulsive structure of the whole thing. Apparently, like he was like, when he was reading it, he was like, yeah, this is something just very simple that I could see how I could make this my own, because, you know, it's very clearly there's a kind of logic to it that his camera can then kind of move through. Like I was struck by in the opening scene, for example, which you're kind of dropped into the middle of this chase that where this Lance Henriksen has offered this man the opportunity to basically just kill this homeless veteran, but you open from the point of view of that man like wandering the old New Orleans Strip, and he's knocking on doors in the rain for help. There's lots of like atmosphere and fear to it, and sudden images of these close-ups of arrows just spinning their weights toward him. He's like darting through these alleys and these like beautiful tracking shots until he's being chased by like motorcyclists, and these ritualistic chant sounds just start coming up. It's like this very you feel like what you're watching is like if you're watching an older film or about an older time period where they're like chasing a man down on like horseback,
right?
But John Woo has
like
put like an American action context into it. Like
Lance Henriksen refers to like the dirt bike guys at one point as his dogs. Like to one of his clients, he's like, "Don't embarrass me in front of my dogs." And he's using these guys on dirt bikes to like harry their quarry, like to harry their game, and like sort of like you push them into the area.
It's literally like a peasant being chased out of a castle or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, but Wu again throws that in where just incredible on-screen chaos with just explosions and bullets hitting the dirt and shredding just about everything that you can see on screen. And at one point the arrow like pierces him and locks him into the tree, and it's so brutal and has such a good sense of mood to it, especially too when they eventually do get the guy. They put like 3 arrows through his chest, and his body just like floats in the muddy river as I think it's Lance Henriksen asks him, he's just like, was it worth it? And the guy's just like, every penny.
Yeah.
And also worth noting too, this is where we get introduced to his Henriksen's second in command. I think his name is
Arnold Vosloo.
Yeah, Arnold Vosloo.
Van Cleef. Pick Van Cleef.
Yes,
I mean, like,
what a name.
Probably a reference to Lee Van Cleef, but I mean,
it absolutely is.
He's like some like South African mercenary. He's such a good character in this movie. He's such a good like number 2 heavy. He's so good. Where he's like, you wouldn't want to hurt my feelings.
He's just brutal too. He dishes out so much of the crazy violence in this.
That shotgun.
The last time I'd seen this movie, my god, the last time I'd seen this movie before watching it for today's episode, I was like, I watched it with Felix, and he'd never seen it before, and the scene where he just fucking like sticks a shotgun in that guy's car window and just like point blank blows his head off, and the whole fucking windshield of the car gets blown out. It was like
one of the biggest
Felix,
squibs I've ever seen.
Felix was levitating. He was like, that's a better scene than anything I've seen in the movies like in the last 15 years.
I love too that he like Wu always elevates all of the movements that these characters do. Like for instance, when he approaches the car, he hits the window with the butt of the shotgun, and then does this cool little like air flip with it to get it back into the car and in the right position so he can point it at him. There's another part where he threatens a dude with scissors, and at the end he like says like, if I have to come back, I'll cut myself a steak, and then just puts the scissors right into the wall as he leaves the room. Like there's just always this added style to everything that the characters do, especially the bad guys.
And the way he emphasizes those impacts too, really, like that close up of the scissors being just locked into the wood, and then he holds on the shot of it like kind of like stabilizing in the wood while it like kind of like shakes from the impact a little bit and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, and I like too that we kind of mentioned it briefly, but I think Will's spot on that the Pick Van Cleef character name is absolutely a reference to Lee Van Cleef, because this is it's funny that Wu is like, hey, I'm making my first American film, so he decides to put like all of these kind of like Western Bayou chase revenge movie kind of qualities into this, which is not the kind of movie he's typically made, and his action applies very well to it. But I was surprised at a lot of the early scenes. Like, he's telling a modern cowboy story, but the cowboy is a Cajun homeless man, and the people, you know, the sort of outlaws who are, you know, pillaging the townsfolk are like just like these uber rich elite guys who are, you know, just giving money to the highest bidder to kill them. And it's such an interesting flip on that idea. And then the way he visually realizes that is so cool, because in the opening sequence where you're introduced, like obviously he's introduced like this is really cool drifter cowboy type, but for some reason he's still got the Belgian French accent. But the way that Wu always kind of like establishes the space through, you know, the kind of you know, he's kind of showing you this cafe, and you watch the girl come in looking for her missing father, who was the vet who was killed in the opening scene, and you know, a bunch of these guys kind of see that, you know, she's waving money around and she's got money, and they go to attack her. Essentially, it's got that very Western quality of like, here's the innocent girl about to be attacked by these guys who think that she's weak and that they're powerful, and he's going to stop that from happening. And it leads to like these genuinely like Sergio Leone like showdown moments where he walks up to them and there's literally like a crane shot from behind the bad guys to reveal him standing there, and then there's close-ups of their eyes while they're looking at each other. It's literally like a standoff situation, which leads to the greatest, honestly I think one of the greatest things I've seen in both a Wu movie and a Van Damme movie, which is the visual reference of Van Damme moving his duster to the side to show you his leg. And now this shot is exactly
it's like he has a gun. It's like it's like instead of a gun, instead of unsheathing his gun, he's like, just check out these gams. I'm about to pull him out.
It's exactly what it's like. It's so funny. It's literally from a Leone movie where a character would reveal that he's got a revolver and he's strapped, and instead it's just a thigh, and you can see everyone looking at him like, okay, what's there? And then bam, he just like double roundhouse kicks both the two dudes.
Oh my god.
And just the way that Wu like mythologizes Van Damme's thigh like it's a cowboy's gun in the filmmaking, like incredible. No one else would do that. And the only reason it works is because of Van Damme's reputation for his legs as well.
Yes. Absolutely.
Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but like I remember in high school, like in like watching this movie with my friends or whatever, and there was like some kid in like I think it was like an older grade, and like we were just talking in class about John Woo and Hard Target, and like, you know, this could be bullshit from like, you know, decades ago now, but he told me, and I remember it always stuck with me, that before Hard Target, Van Damme didn't even know how to hold a gun because he was just the kicking guy, and like John Woo showed him how to like have a gun look cool when you're using it in a movie.
Well, he definitely did that. He does something I've never seen someone else do, which is the upside down gun trick.
Upside
in the big
down,
finale.
yeah.
Oh, so good. I also love when he, after that initial fight on the street or whatever, when he walks away, the fade that happens after is the big American flag.
Yes, he literally dissolves into an American flag as he walks down the street.
American hero.
While the twang is going and everything like that. And that scene too, again, Wu just very much establishes, you know, the very sort of like slow, fast kind of cutting that he does, as again, you just get to show off Van Damme's athleticism, where he's like, he's gut punching people, he's sweep kicking dudes on top of the cars and then flipping him so that his feet kick the other guy. Just like shit that like doesn't make any sense like physically. And you're like, how would someone actually do that? And Van Damme can just actually do it because he's insane.
Yes.
I mean, even more brutal than the dozens of spinning head kicks that he lays out in that scene. The one that I was just like, oh, is when he just runs that guy's head into a parking meter, like on this, just full on.
The sound
and
is
you can just see him like bong, bong.
Yeah, well, and what's so funny is that Wu matches that with, because normally you would see a kind of shot like that where the camera would kind of follow the action and it would pull away from the meter. Wu opts for the push in on the meter. So basically it turns from like the wide shot where you can see the full body fight happening, and then it's a push in on the close up on the meter in time for you to get the close up of the dude's head hitting it. Just very specific Woo stuff that just really, you know, it sounds simple, but it's the kind of thing that a lot of filmmakers forget to do that really make that impact just feel so much more brutal, the way that you both see them and you feel them.
Yeah. Another thing where he paints Van Damme as this cool dude is after he actually gets fired from his job, and it's initially why he won't take her offer is because he wants to like stay out of trouble or whatever. But then when he gets denied to do the dock work, Woo paints it as like it's still a very cool moment when he gets revealed behind the like crates that they're moving.
It's huge. That moment feels so huge. Like, right. not for no reason. You understand dramatically what he's doing, but it's just so funny. Like that scene in any other movie would just be like, okay, I guess I'm gonna do it. But for Woo, it's like the huge slow-mo reveal, smash cut into Van Damme looking cool as fuck. Yeah, like it's just that moment just feels so much bigger than anyone else would make it.
Absolutely. And she even like takes her glasses off like she's seeing the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park kind of thing. And like and then he goes up and he's like, "Oh, okay, I'll take the job." Because he just got fired, and it's like not cool at all, but he's still painting it as the coolest guy on earth. And then the best part for me was when she's like, "Okay, well, get in, you can drive," and he's like, "I can't drive, I don't have a license," and it's still painted as like he's being this badass. It's endless.
What a badass!
It's so good, man.
He doesn't need to drive anywhere.
It's so funny. I loved that part. He balanced coolness with complete like lame. Like somebody.
He's only licensed. He's only licensed to drive a fan boat in the bayou, but no cars for him. But yeah, no, I mean it just brings to mind like you said, like if the director of The Fugitive was like the one who originally ended up doing this movie, or like if an American director had done it. I mean, I'm sure it would have been like okay, but it wouldn't have been like. It would have been like mostly like just a kind of forgettable like 90s action movie. It would have been fine.
You wouldn't have had that sequence.
It's just with Woo. It's just like with the action that he does is just like I mean, it elevates this movie to high art.
Yes,
and we can talk about like the most insane, ridiculous like 90s action movie sequence when he's like surfboarding on the dirt bike, firing at the pickup truck, and then like flips over. As the dirt bike collides with the pickup truck, he flips over it
and
like
rolls
over the
on
cab
the top.
of the entire truck, rolls and then fires as he like comes back up and then blows up the gas tank on the car and the motorcycle at the same time. It's just, I mean, they don't make them like they used to.
They do not.
Used to.
Oh no, there's a lot of really incredible ridiculousness, both in the action scenes, but I was also surprised in just some of also the detail of the movie as well, and some of the lines and things that they get. I mean, I think Will, you mentioned it right off the top of the episode there, but just lines. Listening to Jean-Claude Van Damme have to be like, "Your name's Chance? My mom took one."
And
it's crazy.
I had to write down. I mean, we can get to like when Wilford Brimley shows up doing like the
greatest,
the most half-assed Cajun accent of all time. But he really looks the part. I mean, Wilford Brimley had like his great one-liner in the movie is like when we first meet him, he's just like muttering to himself, working on his still. And he, takes a little sip of his White Lightning, and he goes, "Oh my!" He goes, "Good whiskey make the jackrabbit slap the bear." And then like he gives a drink to Yancey Butler's character, and he goes, "Drink, but don't spill. It killed the grass." It's like what?
I also the dialogue that I was just howling at too was the fact that they never referenced the girl's father as father. They say daddy every single time. So you have
daddy.
Yeah, so you have Van Damme saying like, "I was just trying to find her daddy." Shit like that. It's fucking. I was like, losing it.
And her character is like finding out that her dad has been like homeless and like living on the street, and she hasn't she's been trying to contact him, but like he's sort of he's fallen into destitution and
right, and there's a police strike, so they're not even gonna like help her find him basically.
And then in that tender moment, Van Damme is like, "I know it's tough for your daddy. It's hard out there on the streets."
The daddy thing gets me so hard.
So it sounds ridiculous, but honestly,
And his
watching the
accent
movie,
is so
it's
funny
so
with it.
charming. It's so charming.
It is. Oh, it absolutely is. It works within the film. It's just to watch Van Damme and really everybody else. Even the officer references her as him as daddy, which I was howling at it. I thought it was so funny.
Yeah, so I'm very curious if that was just something that, because obviously
I thought it was a translation thing.
Well, yeah, but not even just with Wu, also with Van Damme, right? Like Van Damme obviously had to learn English too, and so he's not the most natural line deliverer of American lines either.
No.
Having Wu and Van Damme, together, it's a very interesting. There's definitely some stuff that gets, I think, lost in communication, but in a way that's very
good,
very entertaining and very fun, and also. At a certain point, too, you have to wonder how intentional the ridiculousness is, too, because there's even ones that isn't even in lines of dialogue. One of the craziest moments in this film, and I don't know if you guys clocked how crazy this is, because Wu is such a gifted filmmaker. He honestly doesn't make it that crazy, or it doesn't seem that way, I guess. So Van Damme, he finds her daddy's dog tag, and he finds that it has like an arrow piercing through it, which is proof that he's actually been murdered, and that he's going to kind of pursue this like a cowboy or a detective or an American hero, American film hero in that way. He's going to pursue this. He finds out that, her dad was like, this Silver Star, or no, sorry, he's the Silver Star Marine Recon, but so he's kind of connected to the father with his own time in the military.
Right.
And they mention, obviously, we shouldn't underestimate this guy. He was raised in the bayou by his uncle, and he's fucking crazy. And but the crazy moment while this is happening, because it's really hyping Van Damme up. You're giving you his backstory. Van Damme is looking very stoic. The camera's pushing in on him. He's looking at the dog tag, being like, something is up. Something ominous is here. What happens in the scene? The dove flies into his room, and I was like, okay, this is Wu. Doves just they do that. They come in, they fly in. Whatever. But that's not the crazy part, that there's a dove. The crazy part is that the dove lands on his dog tags, which gives him the vital information that, you should have 2 dog tags. And he's like, so where's this other guy's dog tag? That's when he goes and finds the second one that has the hole in it. But this is him just finding out that he's missing a dog tag. And also that, it's connecting the military and it's personal now. And Van Damme literally goes, yeah.
Yeah.
He literally talks to the dove, who just basically communicated this information to him.
It's like, thanks, dove. Well, appreciate you.
Well, as long as we're talking about the doves, obviously, like the doves are like John Woo's his signature flourish.
Yeah.
And,
Yes.
it can get a little ridiculous. The amount of doves at the end of Face Off is just like, oh, we get it, we get it. Just the fluttering of these fucking pigeons everywhere, but obviously, what do the doves represent in John Woo's movies? And to me, it's always been his connection between because apparently if he had not become a filmmaker, he would have become a minister. He was going to become like a Christian,
right?
Pastor basically. Mm-hmm. He was almost going to join the priesthood. I don't know what the denomination. But yeah, to me, doves are always a symbol in his movies of this idea of symbolizing kind of a Christian, a grace in a Christian sense, or the sort of the soul, this, transcendence, or some sort of
definitely a communication with a higher power a little bit. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
exactly. And then which leads to I think probably my favorite scene in the movie. This is towards the end when he's being chased through the bayou by all the hunters and the motorcycle dogs, and they're in this abandoned factory, and of course there's some pigeons roosting around in the nest, and one of the motorcycle guys, the pigeons shit on his visor, and then he just looks up and he's fucking birds or whatever, and he shoots them. He kills some doves, which is in a John Woo movie. Homie, if you kill a dove, oh my god, and then immediately right after that, he kills the sacred dove, and immediately right after that, Van Damme just appears in front of him And he's just, I forget what the one-liner is, but like, it's so fucking sick. He kicks a gas can like from the ground, kicks it up like directly at the dude's head. And as it's coming towards his face, he just racks a shotgun and shoots it. So like the gas can explodes like right in this guy's face. So he gets like got a head full of like shotgun, like buckshot and like exploding gasoline at the same time. So that's what you get. That's what you get for killing the sacred dove in a John Woo movie.
Yeah, the one-liner too, by the way, is "Hey pigeon."
Hey pigeon.
Oh my god, yeah, it's some of the action detail in this obviously gets like really incredible, and I just love too that the performances are basically gauged at like that exact same level. Like we've already talked about Arne Vosloo, but like Lance Henriksen too. Gets to
we got to talk about Lance.
Lance gets to really go off in this movie.
They let him open up the throttle in this one, and like like when you have one of these movies with like a sort of like a semi-ridiculous to let in star in, whether it's Van Damme or Seagal or Stallone or sort of like, you got to have the heavy come with that like real character actor energy, and like Lance Henriksen is such a good villain in this movie. And the thing I noticed watching it this time is like the best part about his character is just like as the movie progresses, he just gets angrier and angrier in that like he can't ever really process that like he's losing.
Yeah,
and like he doesn't believe it until the very end. The very end, where even after a grenade gets shoved down his pants and he's kicked into like a fucking pile of Mardi Gras debris, he still thinks he's gonna win, and he's still just so offended by Damme, like fucking with his perfect murder entrepreneurship.
Yeah. Well, I love that. So according to Lance Henriksen, he basically accepted the role because he was a big fan of John Woo. And the funniest part about his quote about this was that this is what he said when in talking about John Woo. He said that his earlier films were so creative and so balletic and had this incredible philosophy in them. The violence was only a container for the philosophy. And so that was his reasoning to be like, okay, I gotta work with Woo. He had like the most intellectual reason to do this. And then he said that Woo, when he got on set, basically said that he could go as big and try anything that he wanted as long as he believed that it was coming from a place of wanting to feel power over the more poor and vulnerable. He's like, as long as you stay true to that, you can do whatever you want with this.
That's awesome.
Well, he nailed it.
Yes,
and like to me, the scene that stands out in terms of like Lance Henriksen's role in this movie, like, do you guys remember the sequence where it's like a montage that's like sort of grounded by him playing piano in this like beautiful like Louisiana mansion, and it's just like like he's not playing the piano, so you see it, and it's like he's doing the arm movements, but he's like Lance Henriksen is acting like he's playing the piano, but like as he's playing this like very complicated piano arrangement of like classical music, like as you see him like slam the fucking keys and hit the chords, like he's just getting progressively more and more worked up and angry as he's playing this piano. He's like he's like fighting the piano. He's like furiously hitting the keys.
And even the piece itself is incredibly like fast paced, and there's so many just scattered notes everywhere. And it's a perfect expression of how his character is, especially because like the room surrounding him is honestly it's just beautiful. Like it's like this big white room with these really expensive looking couches and all that shit. But then here he is just completely angry and unhappy, just destroying his piano. It's great.
And obviously the diegetic piano that he's playing actually becomes the score as it cross cuts into a montage of them setting up the next homeless man to kill the Willie Carpenter, who I realized I actually hadn't seen in a movie since he was recently in Brawl in Cell Block 99. He's the other homeless vet who they team up with at a certain point.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Oh, no shit.
So he is the one where, we're watching them very tragically set up another opening sequence essentially to this Lance Henriksen piano score that's playing and everything like that. And that's when he gets his very moody speech behind this music of him being like, it has always been the privilege of the few to hunt the many. And he's talking about his time in Rio de Janeiro and Yugoslavia and now New Orleans. There's always an unhappy corner of the planet where we can ply our trade, is how he says it.
Well, I mean, that fits into what I said earlier about this vision of this hollowed out America where the poor are just left to be hunted by the rich for fun as all sort of social services disappear.
Mm-hmm.
The police can't help you; they're not interested, and then also this focus on the homeless and homeless veterans is just this feeling like when the what's his name, Willie Carpenter, when he's trying to evade his hunt and he actually kills the guy who's hunting him, because I really like that touch of some rich shithead pays for this fantasy experience, and then when it gets down to it he can't really do it, and Lance Henderson is Christ, he's like, why couldn't this guy have just gone fishing?
Yeah, he tells him to put safety off too. He's just safety's on, brother.
And the first guy who gets hunted is being the guy who's paid to kill him is hunting him with a fucking crossbow. It's some real fucking expert level shit. And this schmuck in this scene is has a fully automatic laser sighted rifle. It's just no sport at all. It's not even the deadliest game
that he ends up dying from too, which is the funniest.
Yeah, he gets killed. Yeah, he gets smoked. And Lance Henderson is do you understand now why we insist on payment up front? And then they just execute him. But as that guy's trying to get away, he's begging for people to help him on the street, and that's the scene with Ted Raimi where he's hey buddy, I don't have any change or whatever. And then he just gets
he goes up to someone else, right? And one of the other couples is get a job or something. They all just they're ignoring this man literally pleading for his life, while you can literally see the people with guns hunting him down. If anyone just looked up,
eventually they just
that scene is really. That seems really interesting because Arnold Vosloo gets a beat on him, and then he just lights him up with a fucking automatic machine gun
in the middle of the street.
In the middle, it's in the middle of a Bourbon Street, the prime of the evening. Tons of people are out, and as this guy's begging for help, he's invisible. But then as soon as he dies, everyone is shrieking, and they all notice that he's dead.
Yeah, get help.
When they could have helped him, he just is not a person, and that's they're hunting the homeless or these non people who are invisible to our society.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking about how this as John Woo's first American movie, and sort of what I was talking about in the first, because obviously in his Hong Kong movies, in Chinese society, there's obviously crime and cruelty as well, and there's always this sense of trying to maintain honor in a dishonorable world. How is that possible? Even in a world of criminals, is there still honor, and is it worth fighting for? But in this movie, this vision of America, and I know he didn't write the screenplay, but what comes across in this movie is interesting that he directed it, is a vision of America where there really are no social bonds whatsoever. It's a very distinct feeling, very different from his Hong Kong crime movies, where it's there's no social cohesion, or people don't know or trust each other, and it's a world and a society entirely dominated by money. And that's the only real thread that unites American society, and the fact that Lance Henderson's character is comparing New Orleans in the mid to late 90s to Yugoslavia or some war-torn country where it's everything is so fucked up that they can just kill people for fun and not have anyone notice, is this really damning, really nasty vision of American culture.
Yeah.
Well, and his style, that impact when he just takes, and obviously, John Woo's very known for this, but those massive squibs that go off when he is shot in the middle and everyone sees it, it's as violent and brutal and slow and unbearable as a moment as it could possibly be, as you're just watching this homeless man executed in the street, while everyone chose not to help him. Essentially, it's that moment definitely sat with me more on this watch than on previous watches, because of just how really brutal it was. And also, obviously John Woo has done things like that before, where there's kind of moments of sort of innocence being sort of purged in his films, or especially in things like Collateral Damage. I think about in Hard Boiled, some of the accidental violence that they dish out, or in The Killer when he accidentally blinds the singer and stuff like that. And they they kind of it's this idea that he has in a lot of his films formally, where sort of the heightened chaos and destruction of what you see on screen is an extension of, sort of the characters expressing their feelings. Now, in a lot of his Hong Kong films, I think it works doubly so because a lot of the characters are also going through this very intense melodrama. The characters who are very skilled at destruction, so you feel like it's an extension of them in a lot of ways, whereas this definitely feels like he found a way where he kind of saw the point the screenplay was making, and he found a way that he could heighten that even further with the filmmaking. But yeah, the hunting sequences are like practically horror sequences.
Well, yeah, the one part I found really violent and kind of crazy, especially for Wu, is when the guy takes the it's either the bow and arrow or the crossbow or whatever, and he's pointing it at one of the henchmen that's trying to kill him, and he shoots it through a fucking statue and through the back of his head and out his neck, I believe. And then Wu does this this shot that kind of circles around him, revealing the arrow that's through his neck and just revealing the wound. And it is pretty brutal, I gotta say. And that's for a henchman, you know, like he really emphasizes just the violence even on the bad guys.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and also we talked about too. This relates to that moment with the shotgun too, where he goes up to him in the car and he's like, "Randall." You were gonna leave without saying goodbye.
Vosloo is so like he really enjoys his work in this movie, both as an actor and then as a character who hunts people for money. Yeah, he's loving it. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, no, their relationship is so good, and apparently that's a lot of what hit the cutting room floor too. That Van Damme was like, why are these guys this magnetic performance that these two are putting on? Like, this isn't the movie is my biceps, sir.
And these gams, baby.
But yeah, that shotgun shot that flows into what is like a John Woo gunfight around the cars. Really, really brutal moment where like the detective gets out of the car and they basically pull up at the wrong time, and right as the giant brain matter squib is all over the windshield, and John they get the classic John Woo gun handover situation where the detective is taking shots and then the detective gets shot and falls, and as Van Damme catches her, he also gets the gun handed to him, and without missing a beat, he just continues the gunfight while she's falling. and this is the moment where you get like some of the big, and I mean obviously in the big finale is where you get like this was the beginning of where you start to see like the big wire pulls and shattered glass and the rolls on the cars and the gun hand transfers, like the stuff that you would see in most of his Hong Kong stuff that he would do incredibly.
He even has like those big moments like where the heli is after Van Damme on the motorbike.
That is crazy because you know what that is? That is absolutely him doing the 70s like Burt Reynolds Bayou chase stuff.
Oh yeah.
I loved being able to see Wu do something like that. It reminded me, it was straight out of Gator. Remember when they got the boats and stuff like that? Yeah. Crazy, like watching Wu get to do his usual isms, but then so clearly be like, oh man, I get to also make a Western / like a Burt Reynolds / like every kind of American action movie I grew up watching, I get to also kind of play in that mold at the same time. Really incredible.
Speaking of Wu touches in this movie, I totally forgot about like my favorite Wu touch in this movie is the gun that he gives Lance Hendrickson is like the single shot like hand rifle.
I was gonna
is the
mention,
exact
so
same
cool.
gun that Mad Dog, like the best heavy ever in Hard Boiled, rocks at the end of that movie. It's like a single shot, like shotgun breech style, where he like drops in like a fucking like an elephant bullet, like these fucking huge bullets. Yeah, and it's just like one shot, but like like that scene where he, like they jump on like from on the bridge like onto the train and they're like going away, and Lance Henriksen he props it up on his thumb and like tries to get a bead on them, like, but he's like a half a second too late. So good.
And I love that
the concussive force of that fucking like single shot handgun is so cool.
Yeah, and I love that like Wu even gives the attention to detail, like like you said, he takes it out, he gives like a weird hand position to rest it on, and then even after he decides that he can't take the shot, it shows him like unloading the gun, putting the bullet back into his belt and all of that. It's just like endlessly cool.
Do you remember like the scene at the very end where he's holding Yancey Butler hostage And then he's just like, he gets Van Damme to put down the shotgun, and then he cocks open his gun, and then he says to Yancy, but he's like, load me.
Yeah.
Load me. Yeah. She like very like handshaking, like pulls it out of his belt and drops it into his into the breech of his enormous handgun.
Yeah, it's so good.
Hell yeah. And the one over the bridge, that's right after the bit where he does the stunt where he gets on the dirt bike and flips over the car and explodes them both, right? Which is such an insane fucking stunt.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous. Like
I can't believe that Van Damme did that stunt. So dangerous.
It is. Like that shot of him rolling over the moving van, it was especially dangerous, and it didn't even show like a lot of his face in that shot. So I thought even that might be the one that he was like, we can't do this because we're going to be off of the set for months if I get killed.
Yeah, we're gonna break his neck and yeah.
Yeah, man, it's a crazy stunt. Absolutely insane.
Yeah, that's definitely one of Woo's like crazier ones, and definitely one of Van Damme's crazier ones too. So watching them both do it, and even too, just like Van Damme so stoked to have done it, and just going, yeah, right when he finishes and everything like that too. Yeah, yeah. So they're being like officially hunted down at that point, and that leads us to the big final crazy set piece, which is basically. It's essentially a 40-minute long set piece that kind of like changes in form, like probably like 2 or 3 different times.
Yeah.
Because it starts with him just like, you know, going into the bayou and getting Wilford Brimley, who is speaking again of Burt Reynolds. He's like fucking like doing moonshine and whiskey. And as Will pointed out, he was like, a good whiskey make Jackrabbit slap at the bear or whatever. And I think his name is Uncle Duvey.
Yeah, Uncle Duvet.
Uncle Duvet, right.
And they give him too. They have an amazing shot of him riding the horse that he has
from away from the fireball. Iconic, yeah,
dude. And he's like, it's just awesome to see this old guy on horseback. He's got the bow and arrow like above his head, and he's just like screaming like a warrior. It's the best shit ever. It's so funny.
And the other thing I love about that scene is like. Chance shows up like 10 minutes prior to that, and he like hasn't seen him in years. He's like, "Oh, mon ami, oh, it's so good to see you." And then he's just, he's like, "Yeah, sorry, uncle, we're being hunted for sport right now." And he's like, "Oh, say no more." And then like within 5 minutes, the dude's entire property is like wired to explode. I guess he just had that ready to go.
He had it
he's
ready.
like a sort of backwoods survival type. You know, in case the revenue agents pull up on his still, he's just got it wired with dynamite to go up at any moment.
He's ready to make moves.
He's like, "Oh, are they hunting you for pleasure or for business?" And then he's just like, both. And just the look on his face where he's just like, oh shit. And they get, obviously there's these incredible music and push-ins too, as he hands him the dusty ass shotgun, and there's a close-up of Van Damme just like blowing the dust off of it in the sunlight. There's like this, him and Brimley are literally looking at each other like longingly with like this shared nostalgia for like this violence that they are about to unleash.
I love the shotgun scene because he's like, "I still have your old shotgun," and like, yeah, they take it off the shelf. And like the funny thing is, it's a new like very sleek like combat shotgun. It's like it's not for hunting deer or anything like that. But it's like all dusty and shit, and he's like blowing cobwebs off it. But like similar to the Doves, man, in John Woo movies, like nobody has ever made the pump action shoddy like a more like an object of like greater power or significance in movies than John Woo. It's like it has a religious significance. It's like it is the rod and staff of justice. And like they're so satisfying just pumping out those shells, just the racking it and just fucking, oh God, just like when someone gets hit with one of those shotgun blasts and they do the wire pull. Oh, yes. Fuck, man.
There's so many, like, there's one part I think...
It's godly cinema. Like, it's just, nobody else does shit like that. Like, it's just, nobody else can come close.
I think it's the standoff between Henriksen and Claude, or Van Damme, where he says, like, "Oh, you brought the wrong tool for the job," because he's got the shotgun and he's holding the girl hostage. And they still bring stylization to when he unloads the gun, because he just starts cocking it. And it's just like slow-mo of the shells coming out of the thing.
Yeah,
and it's just constant. There's even when he's unloading a gun, there's just the coolest stylization you've ever seen in your life. It's unbelievable. I love this movie.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, and even too at this point, like Henriksen has got like a whole team of mercenaries like hunting him down, being
including
like,
one with an awesome
all,
shirt.
Yeah, they're all paying him for like the greatest, most dangerous game experience of their lives, and we skipped over one of the craziest moments of Van Damme punching the fucking rattlesnake.
Oh, of course. How could we forget? How dare we?
He literally just
biting off
knocks
the
it
rattles
out with his fist.
And then
He's like,
bites
"No."
off the rattle, blood and all.
bites off the rattle, just from straight in his mouth. It's a little bayou booby trap right there.
Yes,
and then the guy, the
Yeah.
guy, the hunter, just gets it right on his face. It's just like a fucking it's just a snake stuck to this dude's cheek. It's fucking, it's so
And
funny.
then I love Henriksen's reply because the guy's like screaming and he tells his men to die quieter,
Yeah.
which is just awesome.
And what I love about that is, like, as the hunt progresses and like they keep getting picked off by Van Damme, like I said, Henriksen's character just gets more and more pissed. And like, these hunters are his clients, like they're
Right.
paying like, $500,000 for the right to kill this guy. But at the same time, Lance Henriksen really wants him dead. And as they like are not able to do it, he's just shitting all over his clients. He's like, you
Yes.
fucking idiots, you're fucking worthless, you goddamn babies. He's like, get out there and do it. And then the guy, that big Swedish dude, is like always a heavy in movies. Yeah, he had the shirt, and after Van
Hawaiian
Damme
shirt.
kills him, he's like, sorry about it's a Dan Flash complicated pattern of button up.
God damn. Yeah, no, Henriksen gets some great lines there where he's like, he's an annoying little fucking insect and I want him stepped on hard. Or what's the other one he gets to? He's like, I will fuck you and then I will eat you.
Oh, else he's like, there's not a country on the planet I haven't fired a gun in.
Yeah. One of my personal favorite is when the one dude really fucks up and they let Wilford Brimley get away, riding on horseback away from the giant fireball. Just fantastic image. And it's followed up by Lance Henriksen like blown away that they couldn't, get like this little stocky little Cajun man who was just like, just fucking with them. And he just goes, you are a fucking buffalo. Which is almost as good as his some of the Stone Cold lines that he gets in that movie with
My God.
with
Boz.
with the Boz, where one of my favorite lines he's ever delivered, this is either going to be the biggest pork chop I ever ate or my bulldozer. Definitely the buffalo line gets close to that. Henriksen loved doing that kind of stuff.
There's something
But yeah,
about
at this point, it's literally a chase through the bayou with just tons of like over-the-shoulder machine gun fire and grenade launchers and so many bullets and gun cocking. And they eventually end up at an abandoned factory just filled with Mardi Gras parade
Floats, yeah.
stuff. Yeah, like again, it was just I was not sure about that detail, but it definitely was very visually interesting, which might be explanation enough.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense just because I guess they're basing it in New Orleans, so somewhere there would be Mardi Gras floats lying around, I guess.
It's just like
Where Mardi Gras floats go to die.
Yeah, exactly.
When it's not Mardi Gras season, I mean, like everybody knows, they store all the Mardi Gras shit in
And
some
an
fucking
abandoned-
abandoned factory in the bayou, in the fucking
Exactly.
swamp.
Speaking of the floats, I actually almost forgot about this detail, but I really love when Henriksen can't see Van Damme, and Van Damme is kind of talking to him while he's hiding, and so it does all these shots of Henriksen kind of like spinning around and looking at all the individual float heads that are creeping him out a little bit. So he starts shooting them with his gun and just blowing them up. It's that's amazing.
Well, and just all the way Van Damme dispatches henchmen in this. I mean, this is obviously where we get one of the greatest moments in the film, where he kills a dude and grabs his gun and doesn't have enough time to flip the gun to hold it normally. So he holds it upside down and uses his finger to pull the trigger upside down. And he shoots this dude like 15 times in the chest.
Yeah.
And then to cap it off, he kicks the cigar out of his mouth. The dude is
smoking.
dead. He's falling already, and Van Damme roundhouse kicks the cigar out of his mouth, which is it's so unnecessary.
And that's when he apologizes for ruining his shirt, I think, as well.
Yeah, and then that's also when he turns around and he shoots more guys who are aiming up at him, but they're popping out like it's like a whack-a-mole carnival situation. And he just keeps shooting them as they pop up.
Oh, man. And I love that with Henriksen's character at the very end. Like Will, you were saying how he's just kind of like relentless and gets angrier and angrier, even in the moment where you think like, okay, he's done and he would accept defeat at this point. He doesn't accept it until the very, very end when he realizes the spark still hit the fuse, and he just gives a oop. And then like just explodes. I love that it's like the one part of his acceptance where he's like, all right, I finally made it. I'm here. Here's death.
Well, yeah, dude, think about how hard he was still being while he was on fire.
Yeah, oh, I know. He's not even screaming. There's a shot of him looking just dead-eyed at Van Damme while he's on fire. It's fucking amazing.
He's just slowly taking his on fire jacket off, making sure that while the men are trying to get him. Meanwhile, Van Damme is like doing flips and shit, dodging grenades and flipping between floats, and there's these huge spaghetti western zooms on eyes and things like that while they're doing the combat that they're doing. And yeah, my God,
just amazing.
What a like really just like crazy finale. I mean, shit, we didn't even get to the part where Van Damme rides in on a giant pelican in the middle of the action scene.
The pelican is, of course, on the state flag of Louisiana. It's like
yes,
for a very, very important bird to the bayou.
I didn't know that. That's a great detail. That makes it even more important that Van Damme does that while riding in to fuck these guys up and my God. Shoot them in various speeds. And obviously this leads to like the big iconic stuff that everyone knows of, like Van Damme running through like the double glassed area while he's having like the showdown with Arnold, and they're both dual wielding and shooting at each other through the glass, which climaxes in like the big moment which you've seen in like every action movie since, where they go wall to wall in a symmetrical shot with the wall taking up the middle of the frame and reload.
The only time you'll ever see a reload in a John Woo movie.
The one time, yes. It's saved for the dramatic beat, right?
Exactly.
They don't need to do it otherwise.
Nope.
Yeah, and then Van Damme, again, like he's like diving through the shattered glass, shooting people point blank in the chest with two guns. There's that bit where he slides underneath and shoots up at Arnold to kill him as Arnold falls onto him. And he holds him up, I believe, with his foot while grabbing the grenade that Arnold was about to throw at him while his body goes limp.
Yep. Oh,
just crazy action details that like no one else would put in a movie.
Yeah,
and
beat after beat.
You can't even break it all down. It would take too long because the opening or the closing set piece is literally like 30, 40 minutes long. And it's just nothing but insane detail like that of just like sparks and blood and fog machines and sweat and low angles and speeding up and slowing down. Just crazy.
The motorcycle helmet part where he sees the guy that has the cigar in his mouth, his reflection in the helmet, and then that's how he starts to fight. Yeah, there's just a ton of awesome detail in the action sequences.
Yep. Well, and also I forgot Van Damme. He slowly gets undressed over the course of this movie, which is a great touch. He in the big car action sequences when he pulls off the duster to put on to reveal the denim shirt underneath, and then in the final set piece he takes off the denim shirt to put the grenade in it to use it as a blunt swinging tool, which feels incredibly dangerous.
Yeah,
to me.
definitely. But risky business right there.
Yeah, maybe not for Van Damme, I guess. But yes, and then as Will already alluded to, this all ends up in like a final big showdown between Henriksen and Van Damme, and there's some great little visual details, like Henriksen hiding out in the sort of like double planed glass area, and we see him like rise up in the reflection while Brimley and the woman who's searching for her father both show up. And yeah, he takes her hostage and he's holding the gun at her and asking her to load him while, and you know, so you get slow-mo shots of her reaching into his belt to grab the one in the chamber bullets, and
of
Van
course,
Damme cocking the shotgun, and just crazy.
And Van Damme is just very confident in his legs, and he knows that he can take on a gun. He's faster. He's faster than a bullet, baby. 'Cause he just runs straight at Henriksen when he loads that one shot. And he's just like, well, I got my legs. Drop kicks him, saves the day.
Yep. They at one point exchange blows with an on-fire 2x4 that they're holding with their hands. And to Will's point too earlier too, it's a very interesting kind of final moment that Henriksen gets to, where he said, her I understand, this was family, but you had nothing in common with these people. And that's his kind of like, why are you involved in this? Why have you ruined my life? Like, I was just going to leave here and go to the next place.
Van Damme's response is so good, because he says the poor get bored too. So he's just like I'm doing this because like I'm for the same kicks that you are, but you're being hunted now.
Yes. Hunting season is over. That's right. I think is what he says. And he punches him with the grenade and drops the grenade into his pants, and he just turns him into mulch. And they eventually find that Brimley was actually who I think at one point gets shot, but his flask was pierced, which obviously protects him.
Absolutely.
And he gets the great I tell this turkey he no kill this eagle.
Alcoholism saves the day.
And obviously, iconic choice. They all get up and they start walking away into the bayou to Creedence Clearwater Revival's "Born on the Bayou."
Yes,
love it.
Born on the Bayou. So good.
Incredible.
Almost as good as the closing musical number at the end of Double Team.
Yes. Which, speaking of which, we should get to. So let's get to the reductive rating round on this one. Hard Target for me gets a very, very high 4. I think that the story is very light and maybe a little, a tiny bit more shallow than what you would expect of some of his Hong Kong stuff, like his masterpieces that we've talked about, things like Bullet in the Head, Hard Boiled, Killer, which have a lot to say, I think, culturally about, what the kind of things that he was making there and some of the conversations he was having on honor and crime, and also the way too that he was because he was able to write a lot of them, the way that he was able to get the characters to kind of express themselves through action, which obviously he absolutely has happened here, and he does. But it's just like, when you're writing from the point of view of that's how you're going to shoot it, I think you can get a little bit further with it. But the style here is incredible, and it's such a blast just watching him have a blast. Like, he was very clearly like, I get my chance to make, to do a little bit, to throw a little Western elements, throw a little bit of sort of like a Bayou Chase movie in there, American Revenge movie, and just make it as excessively stylish at any given moment until it's, it's a work of art. And Jean-Claude Van Damme, he is an athletic performer who can match the hugeness of Wu's style. Yeah. He is someone who can actually physically do a lot of the things that, Wu would probably have to fake other people doing. And yeah, he just really goes for it and goes as crazy as possible. Van Damme punches the snake. He talks with doves. He is one with his bayou and the impoverished New Orleans community that is being stripped for parts and bodies by the rich. And he solves that problem by, kicking dudes in the nuts on motorcycles, having his moonshiner uncle charge on horseback and get people through the throat with bow and arrow. So many stunt guys on fire and squibs on chests and roundhouse kicks to the throat and face. Sometimes all three of those being done simultaneously. I feel like there's some sort of record for this movie there. But yeah, in the end, for me, it's just an absolute masterclass in the staging of stunts and the musicality of shooting and cutting and choreography and everything. And yeah, Van Damme and Wu are match made in heaven for being able to do that. My only dream is that eventually we do get to see the 2-hour director's cut.
Yes,
that supposedly features just more Henriksen and basically makes him a co-lead. I wonder if that version of the movie actually has a little bit more of the sort of most dangerous game sort of social commentary element that Will was kind of bringing up.
Yeah, I could see that that 2-hour version honestly elevate this to the 5 possibly, because for me it's just like the stylization of Wu I am in love with. You know, it's incredible to watch. He just heightens action to such a degree that I don't think I've seen it from really any other filmmaker. And yeah, I love this. It's really just the shallow script that gets me from giving it that 5, but just everything is so awesome in this. Like Henriksen is one of the just coolest character actors that, especially in the 90s, like watching him do this and then watching him in the Stone Cold, like it's just he's so entertaining and so cool just naturally. I'm
excited. Eventually I think we're going to do Near Dark sometime this year, which he is so fun in.
Oh yeah,
awesome. That's awesome. But yeah, I don't have much to add. I love Wu, and this is just Wu all over the place. So this is a 4 out of 5 for me, a really high one.
Hell yeah. For you, Will.
You know what? I gotta go 5 out of 5 at this one. I mean, this is just like this to me, like is the height of like the 90s decade of action movies. This is, I think, John Woo's best American movie, and I gotta say, I pretty much love all of John Woo's American movies, like even some of the shittier ones. But yeah, like this movie is just like the perfect like East meets West synthesis. I adore every moment of it.
Yep. No, definitely. I definitely love that. You're watching an Eastern filmmaker, use all of these Western detail and even just obviously in the detail of the script, but also in the imagery. I still think that I don't know that there will be a Van Damme moment that surpasses his thigh being filmed like it's a cowboy revolver in a Leone movie or something. Like that's so
unbelievable,
insane to me.
Yeah,
insane. But yeah, I think that'll wrap it up for Hard Target here. We're going to be right back, and we're going to be talking about Double Team.
Does your hair change color when you sweat?
Bruce, airball. You need practice, man. I'll never miss twice, brother. Jean-Claude Van Damme. Dennis Rodman. They don't play by the rules. Sorry. Double Team.
Who does your hair? Siegfried or Roy?
No hurt jokes today, okay?
All right, we are back, and we are talking Double Team, the 1997 American action comedy film directed by Choi Hark, as well as John Woo, in his American directorial debut starring Jean-Claude Van Damme. Jean-Claude Van Damme he had the numbers on all the Hong Kong filmmakers, and he wanted to work with them. But Double Team is an insane movie that I don't even know where to actually begin describing.
Yeah, it's nuts.
I'm going to try and hold us a little bit closer to following the plot on this one, just because it's insane. It's actually kind of like 3 or 4 different movies back to back, and it never stops to breathe for even a second. It's only 90 minutes long. And yeah, I mean, it opens with Jean-Claude Van Damme, who has he's playing a agent Jack Quinn, who is a counter-terrorist agent, who has this arch enemy of this terrorist named Stavros, played by Mickey Rourke.
Oh yeah.
By the way, I gotta say, like at every moment in this movie where they're just like, Quinn, you've got to come back. It's Stavros. You're the only one who can track Stavros. Stavros is going to sell a nuke to the Iraqis. I was just, of course, thinking about Come Town Stavy the entire time.
Yes.
Every time they said Stavros.
I kept thinking about a large Greek man that Jean-Claude Van Damme had to beat up. But it turns out it was Mickey Rourke, who was in the part of his phase where he was kind of just looking like a little bit like Bruce Willis, but he was very jacked in this movie, and apparently he got very fit and did a lot of action training for this because he knew he actually did want to fight Jean-Claude in the big finale, which he does. But yes, this movie has a very weird tone to it that it's very goofy and funny, like obviously very intentionally, but it's also doing like a little bit of Mission Impossible / Face Off kind of sci-fi spy movie craziness, basically.
And let's not forget like a third of the movie is just blatantly ripped off from the Patrick McGowan TV show The Prisoner.
I haven't even seen that.
I haven't seen that, no.
Okay. Oh, yeah. No, I mean like the colony, like that section of the movie is just the plot of this cult TV series starring Patrick McGowan called The Prisoner.
Okay, I didn't know that. That was definitely the weirdest detour.
It's like an island populated by like former secret agents who like all. Yeah, it's a great show. You should check it out. But I mean, yeah, like that's just lifted. Like just that element of the plot is lifted directly out of The Prisoner, which I thought was great.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Damn. Well, I definitely, very early on, I was like, holy shit, Choi Hark is going off. Beautiful Dutch angles and colors and these wide compositions of people falling off bikes and cars exploding. Then there's a part early on where they're like, I think it's supposed to be Mickey Rourke is like stealing plutonium in a truck. But he does it by trying to hop over a train, and instead of clearing the train, he just rips through a moving train with the car.
That was Van Damme. That was Jack Quinn's.
Oh, that was Van Damme.
Mission. That was Jack Quinn's last mission before he retires to the south of France.
Yes,
he's trying to retrieve a truckload of plutonium, of course.
Yes, so he actually got that back from Stavros, who previously stole it.
Yes, that's it.
But his dream is to just live in the southern France, Belgium location with all the beautiful mountains and his beautiful wife by his pool. That's where right. He gets to be like, your damn cow is in the way. I think is what he says.
He's an artist. Yeah, she does modern art sculptures, and he's like, your swan is beautiful. I love it, and it's just like some pile of sticks or something.
Yeah. But it turns out that Stavros is back, so they they bring him out of retirement to take down Mickey Rourke, who is basically they do that scene from Face Off where whose kid dies in the opening of Face Off.
It's John
Travolta's kid. Yeah, so they basically do that scene, but you're on the opposite side where you're trying to kill the guy.
Yeah,
and they go to like this little like amusement park where there's like scary clowns and like really strange colors and angles and everything like that. And I was surprised to see that there's like characters wearing purple raincoats and Van Damme like looking down like orange thermal scope, and there's a lot of focus on this tiger that's in a cage, which we will come back to much later.
Yeah, we will.
But they don't. I think what happens here is he doesn't take the shot because he doesn't want to harm the kid, and he doesn't want to kill him in front of the kid. Yeah. He feels a moment of empathy for the Stavros character, who is this brutal terrorist, and that moment of empathy is unfounded, unfortunately, because Stavros, despite being at an amusement park with his kid, he's ready to show down within literally 2 seconds of seeing like the tiger spot the sniper scope. And then instantly he's got pistols and grenades and he's throwing them everywhere in front of his kid.
Yeah.
and half of the people in the amusement park are like walking around wearing masks, and like when shit goes down, they just all pull out machine guns and just start spraying bullets.
So you start having shots of people on the rides too that are shooting at Van Damme and shit like that. It's really
it's
funny.
Awesome. But like before that, when he's kidding up with like the Delta Force, they're like, "This is Delta One. Forget you ever saw him." And then like he's like, "Which one of you has my dead eye?" And of course he had to. I mean, like Dennis Rodman's character is introduced prior to this because he has to go buy guns from Dennis Rodman, who's like he's like the world's coolest arms dealer who like owns and operates a fetish club in Antwerp.
Yeah, yes. He's in like silver
with
pants
scuba S&M strippers.
Yeah, and like midriff showing like tight pink shirts and stuff. Like his wardrobe in this is unreal.
Oh God, it's out of control. I mean, I guarantee you these are all Dennis Rodman's like real clothes. I don't think they had like a costume designer. They were like, Dennis, could you just bring like 15 different outfits and hairstyles, and we'll take care of the rest. But yeah, like, but right before like the showdown with Mickey Rourke at the amusement park, there's a great Van Damme line of just like top tier screenwriting where like he's briefing the Delta Force on like we're gonna take Stavros alive, but you got to be careful. And he goes, he is like a snake. If you look at him in the eyes, he will get you in the back. And it's like, what? I don't. It like doesn't make sense.
It's how to say.
It's such a funny. It's like such a funny line. It's like if you look at a snake in the eyes, they'll get you in the back. And it's like, okay,
Damn.
how does that
So
work?
true. So true.
Yeah. But like just
An old
one thing
ancient Chinese proverb.
Yeah, just one thing I wonder if you guys clocked in the scene where the shit goes down at the amusement park, and then Van Damme and Mickey Rourke fight in like a maternity ward of a hospital. Is Mickey Rourke is wearing the highest high tops I have ever seen. He has like
I did not see that.
He's wearing like, go back and check it again. He's wearing like the wildest looking sneakers I have ever seen. Like they're these big like white basketball shoes, but they go up like they're like boots. They like almost go up like half his calf, and like the top half is like just unlaced. It's some pretty serious strip. But the other part I really like is when like Mickey Rourke is like, he's like, let me tell you something, mister. He's like, I killed a lot of people as, an international terrorist. He's like, yeah, I've killed lots of people, but all those bastards deserved it. He's like, but you killed my son, so this is personal to me. And he's like, oh, like killing a kid, buddy, that's the one thing you don't do. And then he kicks like a bassinet, like one of like the maternity ward, like babies, like it's like on wheels. Like he kicks the fucking bed at Van Damme, but like put a grenade, like a fucking grenade with the pin pulled out in the like right next to the baby. Yeah. And he's just like, he's really offended that someone would kill his kid, but he's ready to fucking just throw a baby with a grenade at Van Damme in like 2 minutes after that.
And that's, I think, when you get, does he grab the baby after he throws the nade, and you get the slow-mo explosion and dive that Van Damme does with the child? I thought he actually was holding the baby.
Yeah, I think so.
Regardless, it's hilarious and amazing.
I'll be honest, the scene was so crazy to me, I couldn't even take notes fast enough, because I was blown away by one. Obviously, he's doing a little bit of a hard-boiled thing where they have the maternity ward in the middle of the action scene and everything like that, which I thought was a cool homage to John Woo. But then also there's some crazy style choices, because we've talked about Choi Hark before, and probably one of the craziest movies we ever talked about on the show was Green Snake.
Oh yeah,
that movie's so good.
It's unbelievable.
So good.
Yeah, and so his style is different from Woo's in the sense that Woo, he has a sense of controlled chaos in his frames, and Choi Hark, especially at least in this film, I might need to watch more to get more of a kind of what he was consistently into. Yeah. But there is so much stylistic experimentation here in ways that Woo wouldn't even think of doing. Like there's a transition in here where Van Damme is looking over at the babies, and he's obviously concerned about the safety of these babies while he's about to fight Mickey Rourke, and someone opens the blinds, and the blinds open up to reveal all of the babies in there, but it's also a dissolve shot, so the blinds actually open up Van Damme's face, so it's like Van Damme is a picture on these blinds that gets opened to look at the babies. And I've just never seen anything like that before, and I was just like, that is such just an odd style choice connecting these two. Yeah. And yeah, that's what, outside of doing like really crazy set pieces, kind of connects what from what Hong Kong was doing with their action films, because obviously there's some similarities in the amount of slow-mo and explosions and destruction and how it's all tangibly rendered by these filmmakers, but there were some interesting ways that Choi Hark was doing stuff differently than Woo, and that definitely extends to some of the eventual action scenes, including one that was guest choreographed by Sammo Hung, and I can guarantee you
sweet.
by just saying that you probably know which one it is. But if not, we'll get to it.
I mean, it's just like the how kinetic the style in this movie is, and like just the everything but the kitchen sink, like sort of a visual grammar of the movie, but also just like the insane use of color, and just like the way this movie is described to me, and like I think it's like so spot on, is like this is the only movie that really looks and feels like the Jim Lee run on the X-Men in like the 90s. It just has that same. I don't know, like that same sense of color and action and just like hyper reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this movie is definitely hyperactive and energetic in a way that is very unique, and obviously very odd in all of the like writerly detail, because I think like at that point, that's when he ends up on the island, right?
The colony, yeah, like it's just like he saves the baby from the grenade, and then he wakes up and he's like in what appears to be like a hotel room in this like nice resort. But no, this is the colony. This is like, it's an island in where they take spies that are too deadly to just like let be out in the world, who are like, you know, like their relatives are told they're dead, but like they've been retired to this island that's like a sort of a government think tank where like all the world's best spies from like all the different international organizations are like have retired here, and they can like hang out by the swimming pool, but then they got to like clock in at like the intelligence think tank observatory once a day, and they have to like use their thumbprint to like scan in every day, or else they'll be killed or something like that.
Yeah, it's basically like they take all the James Bonds of the world and they make them like the precogs in Minority Report, essentially.
Yeah,
they have them clock in and put their hands onto the machine, and they just show them, you know, the acts of terrorism or war, and they have them use their expertise and basically consult to, you know, figure out what's.
Yeah, they go from being cool, badass spies to being like office consultants and analysts, which kind of sucks. But then, of course, in his consulting work, Van Damme, like there's a terrorist incident, and they're like, you know, zoom in, computer enhance, and of course, like it's Stavros sending a message to Van Damme that he has kidnapped his pregnant wife and is going to like sort of like
his butterfly.
He's gonna even the scales here, you know, and he's like, and like that's when Van Damme's like, oh, I gotta break out of this island. And there's an amazing scene where he like, just an amazing training montage of Van Damme like working out.
I was like, how is he going to escape this place using his splits and his thighs? He'll find a way.
Oh boy, does he? And like he like works out with items that are only found in his little like bungalow. He's like weightlifting with the bathtub and like just doing all kinds of like stretching and splits.
I like his breath control exercise where he waits until a cig burns out, and that's his timer.
Yeah, it's like he just does this whole like elaborate like thing where he uses like one of those drinking birds to like press his thumbprint that he cut off his finger onto
an eraser
thing.
onto yeah, and he has to escape like underwater lasers, like an old school Bond movie
that are like timed or something too.
Well, I mean, like one thing I love about this movie, like whether it's just the existence of the colony period or the existence of the underwater lasers or the techno monks, is that like it doesn't explain anything.
No,
and it just leaves it to the audience to like just decide for themselves. They're like, oh yeah, it's the techno monks. This is
the world we live in. Yeah, it's so bizarre.
Yeah. The techno monks also watch porn. And he left it open on his browser. He did a Kurt Eichenwald moment, and I was like, "Damn, okay." This was clearly an issue even for these underground guys, and obviously all the location work in this is kind of incredible. Just in general, like this is actually a globe-trotting espionage thing, but it's just so colorful and kind of insane. Because how does Van Damme escape this place? He extracts himself. On some sort of cargo.
Yeah, like it's just like they have like every other week they like a cargo plane drops out of the back of it like supplies for the island and picks up with like one of those like hooks like picks up out of the water stuff that they're sending to the out of the world. So Van Damme like dives off a cliff like into the water
when the lasers are off at that point.
And yeah, like
right?
Exactly. He evades the lasers and like gets out of the water before the laser protection grid is turned back on, and like hitches a ride by like being picked up with like it's just like a piece of cargo like by this like military fucking this giant airplane, and it's just sort of whisked away into the air to save his wife. But in order to do so, he has to turn to the one man that he knows will have his back, and that's Dennis Rodman, the dude he met like a couple days ago.
Yes, I mean, so funny watching Van Damme do like a cliffhanger level stunt where he's like hanging off the back of the plane and he's asking the dudes nicely if they have parachutes before kicking them out of the plane.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
But yes, then there's Rodman shows up in his silver crop top, his yellow crotch rocket. He's got like clown hair in this scene, and he's gonna get him some mean toys. And because he looks at Van Damme and he sees nothing but trouble. But what the hell? He likes trouble, I think is what he says.
And we get a lot of like the ongoing like back and forth like basketball jokes between them, and it's like even though it's like
they parachute in a basketball.
Yeah, never really references. Yeah, there's some big like but like when he's buying guns with him, Van Damme goes, offense wins games, and then of course Rodman looks at him and goes, yeah, but defense wins championships, and you're like, oh, I know that. He's NBA Defensive Player of the Year 5 years running. He's like the greatest defensive player of all time.
The best defense is a great offense. It's unbelievable. That's like a motivating line in this film. It's hilarious.
Well, yeah, there's one part too where they use Dennis Rodman's actual size in the filmmaking, and there's a part where like he's dodging a dude trying to shoot him on the other side of a car.
Yes.
And he literally reaches over the top of the car and picks him up and throws the dude. Yeah. And then he says something along the lines of like, that's a 5-pointer.
Yeah, that's something I did like. Rodman is obviously not the best performer by any means, but he's just such a big dude. So when you do see him in these action sequences, I think they utilized him pretty well. Because most of the time he's just kind of like throwing himself at these people or just tossing them into glass or tossing them into the wall or whatever. He's just really using his size and power. So those scenes really work for Rodman, I think. Whereas,
I was going to say too, for being filmed in action scenes that are filmed as wide as Hong Kong filmmakers too, he doesn't embarrass himself at all.
No,
there's a scene in the Coliseum where he fights like 3 dudes at once, and like he's a little lanky and awkward with some of the choreography, a little bit, but like he's throwing those kicks and punches and stuff like well, and and he's flipping people,
and he's having fun. I can tell.
Yeah, what does Van Damme call him? A giant carrot with earrings?
Yeah,
I think is what
I think so.
Because there's also that part where he gets in the one car that they go in France, and he has to like stick his head through the roof in order to drive it, like he's driving like a mini car. He's driving like a little tiny guy.
Oh, I don't think we would have thought of it, but that one part where and it's for like 5 seconds, but they get into disguises. And Van Damme is dressed as like this like Afro frilly haired rock star guy. Yeah,
yeah, that was so funny.
So funny, man.
He's got dreads and a nose ring and like little sunglasses. It's awesome.
That reveal shot of them just sitting together in their disguises, I laughed so hard. I thought that was so funny.
Yeah,
and like Rodman's disguise is just wearing a suit.
Yeah, like he looks like he's
just being dressed like a normal guy. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and that's the big set piece where like he ominously received like a picture of the sonogram of his son or whatever, because he's kidnapped his pregnant wife, and I'm not 100% clear exactly. Is he saying that I'm going to kill you and your wife and raise your son, or is he threatening the son? I couldn't exactly remember what it was that Mickey Rourke was like. I
think he's going to steal his son, because like he lost his son, but so he wants his son to play with ponies or whatever. That was like then Mickey Rourke on. He's like, my boy, there's nothing he loved more than riding his little pony. He's like, yes. He goes, that pony's going to miss him.
So good. And then watching Van Damme in like his nose ring and choker and like dirty hoodie and stuff have to do like this set piece in like are they in France or Italy for this one? I can't remember.
I think they're in Rome.
They're in Rome at this point already. Okay. Because that's where they do the big thing where there's like machine gun fire being shot by like horseback riders, and there's like agents everywhere, and they're like shooting into crowds of people. This is definitely one of the more like violent sequences that take place in the film, because the early fighting, I was surprised it wasn't quite as like bloody or squibby as obviously like Hard Target is with so much of its death, but this one definitely got to some of that place, and it also has some ridiculousness of like Jean-Claude Van Damme, like instead of hijacking a car, he hijacks like a bride's horse carriage. Right. And obviously Rodman is throwing dudes over cars and talking about 5-pointers. One dude comes up to him he starts firing a machine gun through his briefcase all the way up like a spiral staircase. And this is the one sequence, by the way, that is co-choreographed by Sammo Hung, the legendary action director and actor who worked a lot with Jackie Chan. The set piece in the hotel where
the
they're
guy
like
is,
flipping
like,
chairs at each other, and there's
like,
the one
and
dude who kicks his shoes off at him.
and then wields a switchblade like in his toes.
Yes. Crazy. It's
yeah,
definitely like
yeah.
the most insane Hong Kong action set piece that's actually in the film is this one fight with this dude. And that's how you can tell it's absolutely Sammo Hung's touch of like, what if a dude, he's wearing shoes, right? And then he kicks the shoes at a guy as a weapon. And then with his toes, he activates the switchblade.
Yeah. I also just love the thought that they got another dude who uses kicks as his primary weapon to go against Van Damme. Just a great touch.
Yeah, and it's filmed very well. You get these amazing wide shots of those two guys like jumping and kicking at each other and some really great rhythm. It's like actually the one full out martial arts fight that takes place in the film because no one else can really fight as well as Van Damme. Like you have Rodman and you have Mickey Rourke who kind of tries, but I have a feeling that he didn't get as skilled as he had hoped because they do his is definitely the most like close up and choppy hand fight that is in the film.
Mickey Rourke's a boxer. Okay,
Yes.
He's a student. He's a student of the sweet science. He's not a martial artist. He's a pugilist.
That's right.
There you go. Exactly. But that does not make the final set piece that they eventually get to like any less crazy.
No, it's awesome.
When they go to
They fight. Okay, like the final showdown is in the Colosseum. It was actually filmed in one of the old Roman amphitheaters in Arles in the south of France. But it's supposed to be in the Colosseum. And Mickey Rourke is like arranged for like the perfect final showdown with Quinn Van Damme.
The imagery that he has planned as a character is so insane.
And like he's planted mines, which are like denoted by crosses, like on the like all over the ground that they're gonna fight, and then releases a tiger, like fucking Gladiator. So like he has to fight a tiger and avoid landmines at the same time.
And the tiger
and then you have the
becomes a
baby
huge
in
thing.
like the little carriage in the middle of the Colosseum.
And then the baby, you have to get to the baby by going through the tiger minefield.
And I love how
Mickey Rourke, by the way, for no reason, is just shirtless in this scene.
And yoked.
I mean, yeah, because like I think he just requested like he's like, look, I got really diesel for this movie. Like I would just like I want a nice long sequence of just me shirtless in the big climax in the movie.
Yeah,
but it's so funny when Van Damme shows up at that Coliseum and it's just Mickey Rourke shirtless, sweating,
by
being
himself.
Like, okay,
waiting.
There's a baby in the middle of this Coliseum minefield and a tiger. Go. And like that's how that scene starts.
There
like
is something.
It just hits you out of nowhere.
There is something really funny about him already having his shirt off. I will say, like
yes,
he's just hanging.
It's already
out.
started. He doesn't take it off because he means business. It's already off before he gets there.
Already off, ready to go. So that was really funny. I also think that like I thought the tiger thing was going to be something they dealt with pretty quickly. Obviously, it'd be awesome because it's a tiger, but you do get the like kick in the face. Like Van Damme kicks that tiger right in the face, which is hilarious. But then it actually becomes something of a threat throughout this entire scene. Like I think it ends up chasing. Is it Rodman or Van Damme that the tiger ends up chasing?
It chases Rodman.
Okay, right. And then eventually they get to a point where they blow up like a bridge, and the tiger actually falls onto the next section, which is where Van Damme or a guard is.
It kills a henchman when it falls. Yes.
Yeah. So the tiger becomes quite the thing in this scene.
Yeah.
And then we get, possibly like one of my favorite like death sequences in a movie for like a villain is that like at the end, like Mickey Rourke has, he stitched himself up by making too complicated a, final showdown set piece.
Yes. He forgot about his own set layout.
He steps on one of the landmines, which, it won't go off unless you step off of it or like bounce up and blow you up.
Right.
So like he's shirtless. He's realized he steps on a landmine and the tiger is coming straight at him, and you get this like amazing close up of him just like lip quivering, crying right before a tiger pounces on him and a landmine goes off at the same time. It's like it's like back to Wu. It's like these Hong Kong guys. It's never just one thing. Like that's what I mean. Like the generosity of their spirit in the action genre is that like no, like I'm gonna kill a guy like 3 ways.
He's gotta
at the exact
really
same
die.
time. Like really die.
Oh my god! And I also love that
and that's the climax to a set piece where like Dennis Rodman rides around the Roman Colosseum on a dirt bike, and he like takes kicks at the tiger while he's doing that.
Yep.
And there's like a crazy guitar solo going while Van Damme and Rourke are like duking it out. And also he tells Rodman to take care of his son. He's like, "You take care of my son, I take care of Stavros." Even though the scene before was like him being reunited with his wife who thought he was dead and yelling at her, "Where's my son?" Even though she's very clearly just given birth and just been like tortured and held there. And he's like, "Where's my son?" Just like really crazy nonstop kind of action stuff like this. Like it's so crazy. I
also love that they show Van Damme's skill once again with the control of his feet and legs, because he steps on the mine, but he has enough control to lightly do it and then lightly brush his foot off, and then that is also Mickey's undoing, I believe, because he actually steps on the mine. But I just love that too. They add a little extra flair to Van Damme dealing with the landmines.
They also add a little extra flair when they actually escape the Colosseum, and they only survive because the only thing stronger than the Roman Colosseum, which stood for many, many hundreds or thousands of years, it's a Coke machine. Which is apparently the first recorded use of a Coke machine as product placement in a film.
It's that Indiana Jones crystal skull logic right there.
Yes.
Well, no, it's funny you bring up Indiana Jones, because I don't know if you guys clocked this, but like we didn't really talk about this character, but like the sort of the head of the colony who then leaves the colony to track down Jean-Claude Van Damme, and then they team up at the end to take down Stavros. That guy is played by the actor who portrayed Belloc in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh, cool.
I didn't clock that.
That's cool.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and he comes back at the end and is like, you got to come with me. But then, is it Rodman throws like a smoke grenade down, which gives Van Damme enough time to get away?
Yeah. and then like Rodman's there, and then it's like him and Belloc. They just sort of look at each other and smile. They're like, "Oh, that's Jack Quinn." And then of course it goes into like over the end credits a Dennis Rodman rap song where it's like he raps nursery rhymes. He's like, "Mary, Mary, quite contrary, tell me where your flowers grow." It's just like he's rhyming with their nursery rhymes. It's such a strange song.
It's also,
but again, like Rodman was like, as far as I know, this is the only movie Rodman has ever been in.
Yeah, this was.
I can't think of another movie.
I looked it up, and this seems to be. I mean, he's in like some documentaries, but as an action movie or anything like that, I think this was a one and done for him. He got the Razzie, so I don't know if he was discouraged or what happened. But
well, you know what? I mean, like fuck the Razzies, because
I agree.
It won a bunch of Razzies.
I agree.
Like, this movie is ahead of its time. Rodman is like, by the standards of like athletes in movies,
he's fine,
not terrible. Like he I think he acquits himself pretty well, and like he's just such a good presence on screen. Like
and he's
his
having
fucking
fun.
outfits, he's having fun.
Yeah.
And like, if you're going to choose to be like, your one foray into like acting and like an action movie, it's kind of a goofy movie, but he chose to work with Choi Hark, who's like a fucking a genius, like an auteur artist. So, I mean, like Rodman, won't hear a bad word against him. I mean, he's like one of the coolest guys ever. Yeah. And you know what? Like, Rodman was doing all this stuff in the 90s, and like for an action movie and for like an athlete of his caliber, that like in the movie too, it's like a plot line that he has this like weird, like, I mean, not like bisexual, like gender fluidity that's like just like really open and like cool, and like just sort of like, even though he's still a badass like action hero, like, I mean, I don't think you even see that in movies today that are like, like in a more like woke or accepting era. Yeah. Rodman was a boundary pusher.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I love that just image because he's got the all the facial rings and all that. So when he gets into the suit and the fedora, and he's still got like all the eyebrow rings and the lip rings and stuff, it's just such a cool and weird and unique look.
Definitely.
And I also, just to end your movie on Dennis Rodman in front of the burning Colosseum, that's something else right there on its own. So, fun movie.
Dropping a smoke grenade so that Van Damme can make a quick escape like a Looney Tunes character.
Yes. Fun movie.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's a lot of fun. Pivoting towards reductive rating round. I still need to get some more watches in with this one, I think, because this one hangs out in kind of like the high 3 area for me, but I think it could get to like kind of like the lower 4 area for me too. I am, I think, a little bit, taken aback by just some of the crazy choppiness, I guess, of it, but it's not necessarily a bad thing either. Like the movie is energetic and colorful and kind of insane, and Troy Hark definitely still crafts it within an inch of its life. I guess it's just there. It's the collaborations taking place here between having like a famous basketball star in your movie, having like an action star, having the Hong Kong auteur, and making like what is essentially like an over the top cartoon, like Bond meets, I guess, sort of like it has like a face-off quality to it, I guess, like with that that oddball sci-fi revenge action thing that they're doing as well. So I guess it's just when you comparing this back to back with Woo, it's not as, I guess, as tight. But that's not, and that's not necessarily an issue, because some of the things that Choi is doing is like, there's sudden breaks in style, there's
embracing
crazy
the chaos,
camera moves and crazy switches and like lighting setups, and so much just weirdness and strange comedy beats mixed in with the feats of athleticism, kind of like all simultaneously. It's a genuinely like insane movie. I guess at a certain point, I just kind of find it a little bit light and I guess maybe even a little bit exhausting, which I don't know how fair of a criticism that is, because it's kind of what it's going for. But I will say it's definitely stuck with me. The overall oddball like tone and design and detail and everything of the action beast. It's obviously not as clean in filmmaking and structure as something like Hard Target, but it's absolutely ridiculous even when it's kind of faltering, walking that line of physically tangible and full out cartoon. Yeah, so it's definitely a high 3 for me. Very kinetic and strange movie, but it absolutely excels when you're just watching Rodman and Van Damme do feats of athleticism with a wild Hong Kong camera following them through some insane European location for some reason. And when it starts introducing the really strange details, like the brunch resort of dead ex-agents and being used as like Minority Report precogs, or Mickey Rourke shirtless in a Roman ruin using tigers and mines to make some sort of point about dead kids.
Yeah, this same. I'm right there with you. I'm at the high 3 right now. I just think that this movie kind of surprised me in ways I wasn't expecting. I do love the bizarre qualities of it. I guess it's just coming right off from Hard Target. I can see some of the like stylization similarities, and I just think Hard Target is more of a cohesive and tightly put together film. But I mean, I'm going to be revisiting this definitely, because I think that
I need to watch this with like 4 homies sitting next to me. I feel like that was what would take it to the next level.
I feel like for whatever reason, I wasn't embracing the silliness as much as I should. So I think it really was kind of my fault in a way, but regardless, this thing has a lot of awesome craft. I mean, you've got some amazing Dutch angles that I really liked about Soy Hark that he does in his films. There's just something very strange and otherworldly about it sometimes. And then having like Rodman do a bunch of basketball puns, like the one that we didn't mention is when he throws a rock at one of the hanging like wire bombs, and he says something like, "I don't like practice, but I never miss a shot twice," and then throws it and then it explodes it or whatever. So there's all that silliness, but I think it's just a matter of embracing it and just really enjoying yourself. So yeah, high 3 for now, but I'm gonna be revisiting this one.
Hell yeah, for you, Will.
Well, I mean, like, I could be one might be tempted to rate this movie slightly lower, because unlike Hard Target, which was definitely a more traditional movie, in that it was like coherent and had a plot, you might be tempted to rate this one lower, or at least I might be, because it's just like it follows like no like coherent logic. It's just like it's so bizarre and like it's like
on to the next crazy idea.
Just like don't pause for a second to like just like try to figure out what's going on or anything, but like just sort of let it wash over you. But come on, this has got Mickey Rourke fighting a tiger in a Sweetheart movie. This is a 5 out of 5 for me. This is a banger.
Yes.
For whatever reason,
love
like
it.
this movie is just one of my all-time favorites. Like it's just, I fucking love this movie. It's like, you know, like it has like no one can copy the style in this movie. Like it's just, it's so fucking off the wall. Like it's just everything in this movie, and I love it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, this really
Awesome.
could not
Will,
be remade.
I was going to ask you, have you seen the movie Knockoff?
Oh my god, yeah! I was just gonna say we could recommend like Knockoff. It'd be like the perfect follow up to this. Is Cheetah?
Okay, because I haven't
Oh
seen
my
it
god,
yet,
dude,
but I've been
it's so
meaning
good.
to.
It's so.
Okay.
I mean, it's definitely more of like a plot. Like it's more of a traditional movie than Double Team is. But it's like it's Van Damme and Rob Schneider are like Americans who are running a denim company in Hong Kong and get involved in like a smuggling ring with the CIA.
Yeah, he's selling knockoff jeans. That's where the titles comes from, right? Yeah.
And like Knockoff is so
kicks in.
so funny. There's just like that like really high key, like just kinetic camera work by Hark. I highly recommend Knockoff. It is an extremely fun movie.
Sounds incredible.
Hell yeah.
Also to see
Dude,
Rob Schneider
definitely
with
it. Like
Van Damme.
when we do Troy Hark, we're definitely either going to do The Blade or we're going to do Knockoff next, because I haven't seen either, but I've been wanting to knock them off my list.
That's awesome. Rob Schneider too. That's gonna be. I can't wait.
And Paul Sorvino is a CIA agent.
Awesome.
Oh my god. All right. Well, I think that wraps it up for everything this week. That was a Hard Target from 1993 and Double Team from 1997. Thanks so much, Will, for joining us and talking about these films with us. If you've got anything to plug while you're here, this is where we have you do that. What's going on in Chapo world?
Just same as it ever was. You can check out Matt's new miniseries, Hell of Presidents. That's really dope. It's on Stitcher. But as far as me, it's just same old Chapo, same bat time, same bat channel, same bat Patreon.
Hell yeah. For our listeners, we're going to be back in 1 week's time, where we are going to be... where are we here? We're going to be on the bonus side. So for all the Patreon listeners, we're going to be over there doing an episode on vampirism as addiction in both Tony Scott's The Hunger from 1983 and Abel Ferrara's The Addiction from 1995, I believe. So both filmmakers are taking very different stylistic stabs at the idea of eternal life and violence and a lust for blood that you can't quench. We're going to have a lot of fun talking about that next week. And then the week after, we're going to be back with a special guest because of the episode on the addiction. I've been finally motivated to place this episode in. Finally, we're going to have a special guest, and we're going to be talking about Abel Ferrara's King of New York.
Oh, yeah.
From 1990.
Hell yes. Hell yes.
And we're going to be pairing that with
excited.
Abel Ferrara's The Funeral from 1996, both gangster films with Christopher Walken.
Hell
That's
yeah.
what you can expect in 2 weeks' time. But that being said, I think that wraps it up for everything this week. Thanks so much for listening, and keep it sleazy.
Keep it sleazy.